Hello there. Welcome to the Good Old Days of Radio show. This is John Tifteller, your host. We are on the second episode of a multi-week salute to radio genius Norman Corwin. Norman Corwin, the poet laureate of radio, the grand old man of CBS. He was called all kinds of things, all very complimentary and all well-deserved. On this particular show, it's going to be an episode of the Fred Allen Show. Fred Allen, as I always like to say, is one of the great unsung comedians of all time. Just a brilliant wit who never made it in television and is only available to be heard on radio or in his writings. He wrote a couple really great books. Treadmill to Oblivion is one of them. Check that out. It's a very funny book. In this case, we're going to hear his radio program, the Texaco Star Theater, from May 14th, 1944. The guest for the day is Norman Corwin, our feature for this series. And Norman Corwin is going to explain to you his secret method of creating sound effects for the Columbia Workshop. And then Fred Allen is going to make complete and utter fun of Norman Corwin in his writing style, in his presentations, and everything else. So that should be a fun little episode. Again, May 14th, 1944, The Fred Allen Show.
And he finally played this number. You're perhaps wondering what these
It's Texaco time with Fred Allen. Texaco dealers from coast to coast present the Texaco Star Theater, starring Fred Allen, with Fred's guest, radio's foremost writer and producer Norman Corwin. Portland Hoffa, Alan Reed is Falstaff Openshaw, Minerva Pius is Mrs. Nussbaum, the Texaco Workshop Players, Hilo Jack is the Dame, and Al Goodman and his orchestra. This is Jimmy Wallington inaugurating Be Kind to Automobiles Week. The old family car isn't getting any younger. Treat it kindly, and it'll live longer. Drive around to your Texaco dealers for that all-important spring changeover. His expert service will put your car in shape for the hot weather ahead. Be kind to your automobile. See your neighborhood Texaco dealer tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mother's Day. If I had my way, tonight I would introduce my mother. But since I have a family to support and I need this job, you know who I'm going to introduce. So here he is again, Fred Allen.
Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And Jimmy, you well spoken. I caught your opening remark. Just happened to be going by as you were announcing me.
Good.
And I heard you say that this is Mother's Day. Did you spend the day with your mother?
Why, no, Fred. My mother's working in a shipyard 7 days a week. I have to get her up at 4 o'clock every morning to go to work.
Well, you should have done something for your mother today, Jimmy.
Oh, I did, Fred. This morning I didn't wake Mother until 4:30.
Until 4:30. You let your mother sleep an extra half hour on Mother's Day?
That's right.
You're a good boy, Jimmy Wallington.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you. Tell me, Fred, did you remember your mother today?
Oh, yes, Jimmy. You know, I was an incubator baby. I sent a forget-me-not to the American Can Company at Moline, Illinois. The American Can Company was a good mother to me, Jimmy. I was born F.O.B. Rock Island some years ago, and as I look back to the...
Allen!
Portland. Well, Portland, what's new?
The paper said Mayor LaGuardia almost got a sponsor for his radio program.
Oh, I saw that. Some perfume company made the mayor an offer. I'm glad he turned it down.
Why?
Well, how would it sound if the mayor of New York City came on the air singing one of those singing commercials, you know, like this? Good evening, folks, I'm on the air, bringing you my perfumes rare. Tune in each week at this hour. You too can smell like the little flower.
But they might have named the perfume after the mayor.
You mean like an evening in Paris?
Yes. They could call it an afternoon at City Hall.
Oh, that would be a rare odor. Well, tell me, what else is new?
The president came back from his vacation.
I know, he had a nice rest at Mr. Baruch's place.
How did the president happen to go to Mr. Baruch?
Well, he probably got the idea from the radio, calling all men to Barney's. And calling reminds me, Portland, we'd better start calling on our friends in Allen's Alley.
What is your question tonight?
Well, last week when some meats were taken off ration lists, people hoped that sugar would soon be more plentiful, too. But the War Food Administration says that sugar stocks have decreased and the end of sugar restriction is not in sight. And so our question tonight is, how are you getting along these days with your quota of sugar?
Shall we go?
As the Lone Ranger said to Silver, away! Gentleman has his head on upside down. Portland, here we are back in Allen's Alley. I'll see if Senator Bloat is in.
Yes?
Senator Bloat, how do you feel about this sugar conservation?
Sugar must be used sparingly.
Have you taken any action, Senator?
Yes, if my bill, the bloat bill, goes through,
Yes?
people will be forbidden to mention sugar even in conversation.
Oh, I see.
It will be against the law to call your girl sugar, sweetie, or honey.
Well, have you stopped all sweet references in your own conversation, Senator?
Yes. When I play golf and miss a putt on the green, I don't say, oh, sugar anymore.
What do you say?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Well, I think I heard a chickadee chirping in the senator's beard. Now, let's see what happens here next door.
Hello, kid. What's cooking?
What was your name again, brother?
Pablo Edipici.
Oh, that's right. Well, tell me, Pablo, how are you doing with your sugar quota?
Tucci Pie, I'm doing altogether without sugar.
Oh,
I'm using a substitution.
a substitution?
Sure. Kid, it looks like sugar.
Yeah.
It feels like sugar.
Uh-huh.
It even smells like sugar.
Looks like sugar, feels like sugar, and smells like sugar. What is it?
Salt.
Salt. You put salt on everything?
Sure, I like salt.
Well, doesn't eating all this salt make you thirsty?
I like water, too. Do me something. So long, Tucci Pie.
Well, let's try this next door.
No.
Ah, Mrs. Nussbaum. How are you doing with your sugar quota?
Sugar, he says. Every day my husband is eating 10 pounds sugar.
Your husband eats 10 pounds. He's a sugar fiend?
Sugar my husband is putting on pot roast.
Uh-huh.
Sugar on pickled herring.
Uh-huh.
Sugar on ice cream. Sugar on sugar.
Sugar on sugar, he puts, huh? Well, where do you get all this sugar?
Every morning, first I'm going to Kaplan's Cookie Kitchen.
Yeah.
Next I'm going to Shapiro's Strudel Shanty.
I see.
Then I'm going to Doberman's Donut Dunkery.
Well, what do you do at all these bakeries?
At every store I'm buying 2 dozen sugar donuts.
Uh-huh.
When I'm getting 20 dozen sugar donuts, I'm going home.
And then?
I'm scraping the sugar off the sugar donut.
Uh-huh.
The sugar I'm giving to my husband.
You buy 20 dozen donuts every day just to get the sugar?
Exactly.
Well, what do you do with all of the donuts?
Who knows? I got 7 closets full.
Well, that brings us to the little FHA job at the end of the alley.
Ah, glorious gathering before it disperses. Falstaff's here to recite a few verses.
Full. You seem to be in a mood tonight, Stroller Openshaw. You have forged some new dactyls?
Indubitably.
Really?
Have you heard? Said the cutlet to the herring, you have your nerve. I'm the main dish. You're just the hors d'oeuvre.
No.
Or, I was just about to kiss her when she whispered sedately, "Does your cigarette taste different lately?"
No.
Or, the old soldier was reminiscing. He fondly fondled his sword and said, "How well I remember the Battle of Montgomery Ward."
Now, wait a minute. No wonder people keep mistaking this program for information, please. You are chronically irrelevant. Tonight we are mulling over the sugar problem.
Precisely.
I know. What is your poem called?
Without a little sugar, it can't be.
It can't be what?
My poem provides the answer.
Oh, I see. We have to hear it to get the answer.
Yes.
Well, how does it go?
Home to a whale is the ocean. Home to a mouse is the pantry. Home to a gopher is a hole in the ground. But without a little sugar, it can't be. Home to a worm is an apple. Home to a clam is its shell. Home to a moth is a pants leg. Home to a frog is a well. Yes, every animate object has a different conception of home. To each it's a haven, a sanctuary, when one is too tired to roam. But without a little sugar, it can't be. That is the gist of my poem. For it takes just a little sugar to make a place home, sweet home.
Thank you, Falstaff. Thank you. And as Falstaff leaves us with his granulated thought for the day, Maestro Goodman raises his peppermint stick baton to conduct Hilo, Jack, and the Dame, their song, Saltwater Cowboy.
Saltwater cowboy, a United States Marine. Get along, little Nippy, I can hear my singing pal. I'm taking you to pasture in a barbed-wire corral. He's the salt of the earth, boys, and he's long and lank and lean. He's a saltwater cowboy, a United States Marine. He had to leave his home where the buffalo used to roam. He blamed those Nipponese, now he's rounding up Japs on the high seas. He's a fighting buckaroo, from Honolulu to Attu. He's a Yankee through and through, too. Get along, Sukiyaki, sang the man from the Golden West. I'm gonna brand your carcass with a star-striped duet. Now don't you worry, he will keep your pastures green. He's a saltwater cowboy, a United States Marine.
Thank you, Hilo, Jack, and the Dame. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jimmy Wallington.
Here it is, May 14th already, friends. And if you haven't yet seen your Texaco dealer for that spring changeover, I hope that you're very...
Jimmy,
Yes.
excuse me just a minute. About that Texaco spring changeover, isn't there some better way you could say that?
You mean spring changeover?
You know, to give it more appeal, more whammo, you know.
For instance?
Well, couldn't you call it Revo Egnac Gnurps?
Now, what is Revo Egnac Gnurp?
Well, that is spring changeover spelled backwards. You know, a lot of products spelled backwards. People don't know what they're buying, and they go right ahead and get the thing, you know.
Spring changeover spelled backwards, huh?
Oh,
Fred,
come
I
on.
don't see the point.
Oh, Jimmy, it's easy. Revo Egnac Gnurps. Revo Egnac Gnurps.
Well, it's a little confusing,
I know,
don't you
but you
think?
might improve on it. Why don't you
Well,
have
I
a
can
go-
try anyway.
Yeah, try it, Jimmy.
All right, Revo Egnac Gnurp.
Yeah, go ahead. Have a go at it.
Okay. Okay, friends, drive around to your Texaco dealers
That
for
ad
your...
living, that ad-
Oh,
that
it's
extra
terrific, isn't
okay.
it?
You know, we're late, and you put in an
Yeah.
extra okay there. It throws everything off.
I'll start all over again, shall I? Okay, thank you.
Revo Egnac Gnurps.
Revo Egnac Gnurp. Okay. Now, friends, drive around to your Texaco dealers for your Revo Egnac Gnurp. Change over to the oil that helps prevent excessive wear. Texaco's famous insulated Haviland motor oil. And don't forget the chassis when you get your Revo Egnac Gnurp. Get Texaco's Marfac 40-point chassis lubrication. Have your Texaco dealer make a complete checkup. Make your car outlast the war. The Revo Egnac Gnurps Oh, Fred, this doesn't make sense.
I think you're right, Jimmy. You've convinced me on short notice by appointment. It sounds as though you're talking shorthand. Do it your own way.
Okay. Friend, drive around to your Texaco dealer for a complete spring changeover now. Now, that makes sense in more ways than one.
It certainly does, Jimmy. That was just a dash of I Love You played by Cole. We don't have time to mention the rest of his name. Written by Cole, rather. Played by... Oh, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Allen.
Yes, Portland.
Can I sing my song now?
What song?
Mama and I have dedicated a song to Frank Sinatra. He's been sick.
Oh, I know that. I heard Frankie had a terrible time at the hospital. One night, 2 germs dragged him out in the hall. They tell me. What is your song called?
Here's to our Frankie.
Oh, good. How does it go?
Here's to our Frankie who's not feeling well. We hope you get better, not worse. While we wait for you to recover, all I want to say is, brother, I certainly would like to be your nurse. If anyone has to be sick, every Sinatra chick says it should happen to Crosby.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Portland, this is one time you should get the gong before the song. I mean, that's the whole trouble with this program. It's too silly. From now on, we are going to cater to the intelligentsia, Portland. I talked with a man who has showed me the light, Norman Corwin.
Who is Norman Corwin?
Who is Norman Corwin? Why, Norman Corwin writes and produces his own radio programs for the Columbia Network. He's on every Tuesday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Wartime.
Isn't Bob Hope on at that time?
Bob Hope. While 30 million dopes are listening to Bob Hope, Einstein, Clifton Fadiman, the Quiz Kids, and I, all 7 of us, are listening to Norman Corwin. His programs are sophisticated, Portland, and those are the kind of shows I'm going to have, those high-class programs.
Oh, have you talked to Mr. Corwin?
Oh, yes. Last Tuesday, I went over to his workshop. As I opened the door and stepped over a black widow spider, a worried-looking young man who was plucking a lute out of tune looked up and said,
"You were looking for someone?"
"I'd like to see Mr. Corwin."
"I'm Norman Corwin."
Mr. Corwin, I'm Fred Allen. I'm a great admirer of yours.
Thank you. What business are you in, Mr. Allen?
Well, I'm in radio. Everyone knows me.
Oh, you the smiling Irishman?
No, Mr. Corwin. I am the guy who started the Irishman Smiley. I think. On a good Sunday night, I think I started them. I'm a comedian, Fred Allen.
Oh, yes, Fred Allen. Yes.
You, the great Norman Corwin, have heard of my little program?
On and off.
On and off, eh?
When you come on, I turn you off.
Well, I don't blame you, Mr. Corwin. I want to give up all this alleged comedy and be like you. You know, your name will go down in radio history. You have done some wonderful programs. The Bill of Rights, the Radio Primer, My Client Curly, the long name none could spell.
And you've told some wonderful jokes.
Oh, but who remembers my jokes?
Well, I do. Some of your Falstaff titles are terrific.
You remember the Falstaff titles?
Don't go down in that manhole, Mother, and make Father come up for his lunch.
God.
Come with me to the belfry, Nellie. We'll kick the gong around.
That's right. That's an early Allen.
When we hear the gongs clang and see the patrol, we know it's Father for whom the bell tolls.
God, you remember those. But those are silly, Norman. Your programs make sense. Your dialogue, those wonderful sound effects. Why, I remember once you had a dinosaur walking around on a program. How did you reproduce that dinosaur's footsteps?
Oh, I worked 6 months on that song, Fred.
Really?
I had cows in the studio stepping on wet cement.
Wet cement, huh?
I had 2 kangaroos strapped together hopping on beaver boards.
Kangaroo.
I tried a horse with its shoes off, coughing on damp Kleenex.
Well, how did you finally get the dinosaur step?
I have had a duck walk around the microphone.
A duck, huh?
The duck had a megaphone tied on each leg to magnify the sound.
Oh, a little duck with megaphones on his. Now, I'd like to have taken a gander at that duck. You excuse my foul interruption there. Norman, you had another sound, I recall. Two Eskimos rubbing noses.
Oh, that was no problem, sir.
No?
I got the Eskimo effect by bumping 2 avocados.
You bumped your avocados, huh? Gosh, I wish I could get some of those. Some of those. A show like that you couldn't do out of season, could you? Gosh, I wish I could get some of those wonderful sounds on my program.
Fred, you use sound effects.
Sound effects. All we have is a few little doorknobs. Our sound man has no bones in his knuckles. You can't even hear the knob.
Haven't you ever tried any elaborate sound effects?
Well, only once. In one sketch, we had a caterpillar slide down a slippery elm tree, bump against a pussy willow, and then land in a pile of chicken feathers.
How did you work that out?
Oh, we had a terrible time. First, we tried dropping the white of an egg on some Jell-O, and then letting a cup of custard ooze out on a mound of lint.
And that didn't work?
You couldn't hear a thing. The lint was faulty, I'm sure.
Well, how did you finally get the sound of a caterpillar sliding down a slippery elm tree, bumping against a pussy willow, and then landing on a pile of chicken feathers?
The sound man was gone 3 months. When he came back, he had it. He tied some peach fuzz to the end of a tassel and started spanking a wet toupee. And after that, I quit using sound effects on the program.
Well, I guess it's all for the best, Fred. You stick to your type of program, I'll stick to mine.
No, you're not talking me out of it, Norman. I have heard every program you have ever written. I, myself, have written a play fraught with significance, which also accidentally has a message.
What's the play about?
Well, it's the simple story of Jack and Jill as you, Norman Corwin, might do it on the air. Now, I have the script here. If you'll be kind enough to read the narrative part, I'll show you how it goes.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack and Jill.
Columbia presents a sequel to 26 by Corwin. 1 by Allen.
This is Norman Corwin bringing you the radio version of Jack and Jill, based on an idea taken from the private files of Mother Goose. We all know this simple little nursery rhyme. Who hasn't heard a little child recite?
Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
Ah, but do we know what conflict of stark emotion, what flames of passion, what depths of tragedy lay behind this innocent little rhyme? This, then, is the true story of Jack and Jill.
I am Jack. I lived with my father and mother at the bottom of the hill. The world thought we were a happy family. Happy, ha 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 ha. I hated my father. My father hated me. Why did I hate my father? Perhaps it was the little things he did that irked me, like asking me to take off his shoes and then kicking me in the sinus when I bent over. Or perhaps it was father's habit of throwing his old razor blades into my breakfast cereal. That's how I got my big, wide mouth. Only the middle of my mouth has lips. As hatred for my father grew, disturbing thoughts entered my mind. I kept hearing voices. The voices said,
Kill your father, strangle your father, poison your father, shoot your father, kill your father, kill your father, kill your father.
The true story of Jack and Jill might never have been known if it wasn't for a pail of water. One day Jack was in the barn, thinking of ways he could kill his father. He had just finished making a tiny booby trap to slip in his father's corncob pipe. You see, the booby trap would go off when his father inhaled and blow the old man to bits. Suddenly, the barn door opened.
Jack, Jack,
Yes, father.
take this pail up the hill quickly and get some water.
Water?
Yes, Mother just set fire to herself.
Yes, sir.
Now you get the water and I'll go in and fan the blaze till you get back.
Yes, father.
Hurry, Jack!
Yes, father. Get the water, Jack. Hurry, Jack. Get the water, Jack. Who does he think I am, Gunga Din? But wait. Who is this stepping out from behind yonder bush? It is a maiden, young and fair. She speaks.
Hey, Bob, which way's the Paramount?
Who are you?
The name is Jill. I was with the other Jills and 4 Jills in a Jeep. It hit a bump and I got bounced out.
So you are Jill.
Yeah, Jill Jakubowski.
Jill.
Jack.
Jill.
Jack.
Jill.
Jack.
This dialogue, ladies and gentlemen, is not to be found in the original Mother Goose version. Any similarity between this play and any Norman Corwin production is purely coincidental. We return you now to the dialogue.
Jack.
Jill.
Jack.
Jill.
Jack.
Jill. I love you, Jill. Love. Love. Into my bleak little world, love crept on rosy dimpled knees as Jill and I sat there and schmoozed on the hill. The music of her musical name ran musically through my head, like musical music. The trees, the grass, the breeze seemed to be singing.
Jill Jakubowski.
Jill Jakubowski.
Jill Jakubowski. Jill Jakubowski.
Jill Jakubowski.
Yes, it was love. Like two lambs, Jack and Jill tiddly-divied on the hill. The air was filled with laughter and merry dotes. And then, suddenly, Jack remembered the water, the pail of water. After all, his mother was on fire. Frantically, he grabbed the pail and said,
Jill, come with me.
Where?
Up the hill to get a pail of water.
Are you kidding?
But Jill, my love.
I'm hip to that up the hill jive, Bob. The next thing will be action.
But... All right. You wait here, Jill. I'll be right back.
At the top of the hill, Jack stopped. Disturbing thoughts raced through his mind. A voice within Jack said,
Will Jill be there when I get back? If I get the water, I may lose Jill. I won't get the water.
Get the water. Don't get the water.
Get the water.
Don't get the water. Water, 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 water.
I can't lose Jill.
Jill Jakubowski.
Jill Jakubowski.
Jill Jakubowski. Jill Jakubowski.
If I don't get the water, Mother will burn. If I do get the water, I'll lose Jill. Mother, Jill. No matter what I do, I'll lose Jill or Mother. There is only one solution. I'll stand here on the hill. I'll do nothing. Nothing.
And so poor, confused Jack just stood there on the hill. Days went by. Months went by. Soon, the whole country was talking about this boy who stood alone on the hill. Walter Winchell, on his broadcast, excitedly reported,
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships in dry dock. From a reliable source, I have just received word that Jack and Jill have... For further details, read undercover.
Pravda, official Russian newspaper, said,
Ihr братцо студоя, понедельник, пятница, четверг, непострой, воскресенье, Chicago Cubs 8, Brooklyn Dodgers 7.
In a room in Washington, a group of die-hard politicians was having an emergency meeting. The air was tense. A senator from Vermont said,
You say this guy, Jack, hasn't moved?
No, and he hasn't said a word.
And he hasn't done anything?
No.
Does it look as though he is going to do anything?
No.
Gentlemen, I nominate Jack as the next Republican candidate for president.
What would Jack do? What would Jack do? What would you do? His world had crashed about him. His mind snapped. Over and over he babbled.
I've lost Jill. My mother's a clinker. It's my father's fault. My father, he sent me for water. If I had killed my father, he couldn't have sent me for the water. Dead men fill no pails. I'll kill my father now. Here he comes out of the silo. Where's my gun? Here it is. I raise my gun. My finger feels for the trigger. I press...
Stop! Wait a minute, Fred.
Yes, Norman? Oh, is something wrong?
Fred, is this the way my programs sound to you?
Why, yes, Norman.
Give me that gun.
Now, wait a minute, Norman. Don't put down that gun.
No, Fred. If this is what I'm doing to radio, there is only one way out. This is Norman Corwin saying goodbye, all.
Before we close the Texaco Star Theater, I want to thank Norman Corwin for committing artistic suicide on our program tonight. Next week, our guest will be Victor Mature. Now, before we wrap up the show for tonight, Jimmy Wallington has a word about wrapping paper.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, wrapping paper and paper boxes are a must for the food, guns, ammunition, and blood plasma that go overseas to our fighting men and for countless other vital uses. Our Army and Navy need 250,000 more tons of paper this year. So save paper these 3 ways. 1, when you shop, don't have your purchase wrapped unless absolutely necessary. 2, use your own shopping containers again and again. 3, save all your waste paper for the scrap drive. Do these 3 things, and you'll help put 3 strikes on the axe.
Thank you, Jimmy. This is Fred Allen speaking for Texaco dealers from coast to coast, reminding you that gasoline powers the attack. Don't waste a drop. Thank you, and good night. Thank you.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
All right, and that was the Fred Allen Show from May 14th, 1944. Special guest Norman Corwin. Sorry about the noise in the latter half of the program there. The transcription discs are damaged, and it would take some work to restore them, but that particular broadcast should get the restoration treatment at some point because it's historic and wonderful. We'll see. It takes a lot to do that stuff. Anyway, but you got to hear it, and that's what counts. A couple things. If you notice at the very, very beginning, they turned on the recording equipment just before the show was officially switched onto the air. And so you'll hear Fred Allen at the very beginning mumbling a little bit. It was part of his intro to the audience before they actually went on the air. Interesting that instead of Senator Claghorn, which is a great character in Fred Allen's Alley later on in his work, in this case, before Senator Claghorn, they have this particular character in Allen's Alley called Senator Bloat. I actually like that name better than Senator Claghorn. The satire on Norman Corwin, particularly good. Dead men fill no pails. That's a great line. And those of you who have been to Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland know that when you start on that ride, there's a repetitious voice of, I forget the guy's name, Paul Frees. A repetitious voice of Paul Frees saying, "Dead men tell no tales, dead men tell no tales." Well, with Fred Allen, it was "Dead men fill no pails." And I think that was well before Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland, which didn't open until 1955. And of course, this is 1944. All right, that is the second part of our salute to the great Norman Corwin. Since it's Tuesday, we chose a light-hearted comedy-type show. That is the only time that Fred Allen and Norman Corwin ever appeared together. We don't know why. Fred Allen was at CBS, Norman Corwin was at CBS, but it's great that they did, and it was a funny show. On Tuesday, you will hear a drama of Norman Corwin's, The Lonesome Train. It's a very famous broadcast all about the aftermath of President Abraham Lincoln's assassination. So that's a very interesting show and extraordinarily well written. So we will be back with that on Tuesday of next week. Okay, now I'm getting the dates right. All right, this is John Tiftiller in the Good Old Days of Radio Show saying see you on Tuesday.